Lord. You know something? I saw something last night, and it was, you know what it was? It was box office. It was a show, and it epitomizes what's going on right now. The NBA is fantastic, y'all. We had Trae Young over the weekend. We had Donovan Mitchell, okay? We got Anthony Edwards. We got John Morant all over the damn place. I'm seeing fantastic basketball. Maybe some stuff that's struggling a little bit here and there. That's because people are getting their behinds waxed. People are getting it, taking it to them. I'm just telling y'all right now, it's special. It's special. Now, I know that everybody looks at me and they say, damn, he's hyped about an NBA action. And we see Mr. Cool Breeze himself, J.J. Redick, just sitting up there all calm and composed and all of that other stuff. Well, damn it, trust you me. J.J. Redick is going to try to bring it because I listened to his podcast. And I listen to some of the things that this guy said. He's got a great podcast, by the way. But do y'all know that every now and then he slides some zingers up in there? That's J.J. Redick. Ain't that right?
How much caffeine have you had this morning? You're on the West Coast. You've been up since like 4 a.m. How much caffeine have you had?
It's water. I got water today. I got water. First takes in the house. Let's go.
We've been waiting all year to get the big three of the Warriors back on the floor together. But apparently the big three is now the big four.
I'm on my grind, nobody take it from me. I'm moving up, I'm moving up.
Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Paul. The bartender's out here.
We all can get hot at any second. Trying to be able to get good looks early to get us going is something that separates us. We all feel like we're really special, and playing together really makes us lethal.
Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Thank you for being with us. As you can see, everybody already hyped. J.J. Redick, great to have you in the building, sir. Stephen A., top of the morning.
Hold on. I'm not going to comment on J.J. Redick because he's always looking good. He's in shape and all of that stuff. He looks good. My blazers kind of fly, if I may say so myself. But
I'm
Molly, I have to say this. You look very nice. I like that. That's one of your better outfits. I have to start off the show by saying Molly's outfit. Yes, Molly, I approve because the Nurse Betty shoes, that you rocked a couple of times. I wasn't sure about that, JJ. Wasn't sure about that. But today, the hit up, yes, Molly.
You know what, Stephen A., this is a little monochromatic suit, and it has pearl buttons detailing. You don't get to see it. It's a wide leg pant, so thank you. I'm glad you approve of it.
I got to give credit where credit is due. You can give me my credit later. You can do that. You can do that later.
Stephen A., you look amazing. I don't even know how you're going to walk down the street in L.A.
I like that lie. I like that lie.
You always look amazing. Tom Ford looks good on you.
I like that lie. Keep them coming. Keep the lies coming. Let's go, y'all.
Oh, my goodness. Let's go. He's back. You know who did look amazing? Steph Curry with the shot. Oh, my goodness. 34, 3, and 4. Oh, off the bench in just 23 minutes. The small ball lineup, it's working. In a 20-point win over the Denver Nuggets, the big three intact. Some calling it the big four with Jordan Poole going off as well, adding 29. Oh, Steph, how you feeling?
It was a long 4.5 weeks, and obviously game one was the goal. And a lot of hard work went into it. To be in this moment, this environment after 2 years, absence from the playoffs, it means a lot.
When you beat a team the way we did the first game, they come out and they give you their best punch. And they did that. We took the punch on the chin. We responded right away. We got control of the game. Just to see our group respond the way they did, that's special.
The Dubs sitting pretty, 2-0. You know what, Stephen A., I was watching this, and I was just like, okay, it's cool. The Warriors are winning the chip again. Tell me this. What message are the Warriors sending? I can see your eyes without seeing your eyes. Listen, I know a quarter of the basketball maybe of what you do, prisoner of the moment, but when I saw Steph out there, I got that feeling. All of them pulled. Stephen A., what message are the Warriors sending to the rest of the West right now?
They're sending the message that Stephen A. knew what the hell he was talking about all year long when I was talking about this team coming out of the West. That's what the hell message they did. They said Stephen A. Smith knows what the hell he's talking about. Y'all listen to him because I was talking about the Dubs at the beginning of the season. Now let's pump the brakes in a certain respect. Styles make fights. matchups matter. And we understand without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., with what Jokic has available to him, and more importantly, what he has to deal with himself, which is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, one of the elite defenders in this game today in Draymond Green. That's enough of a load for him to deal with without, especially without having to go on the court with such a minimal amount of help. That's the situation. Denver's completely overmatched. We all know that. We think that they're fortunate if we want to give credit where credit is due, but we think they'll be fortunate enough to win a game in this series because what we're seeing from the Golden State Warriors right now is something spectacular. I understand styles make fights. I understand matchups matter. The Denver Nuggets are not the Phoenix Suns. Make no mistake about that. That is not the Phoenix Suns, all right? The Phoenix Suns are on a different level, and they're clearly the team to beat. But if there's one team in the National Basketball Association who could take them out, it would be the Golden State Warriors. We understand the greatness of Steph Curry. All we were worried about was whether or not his foot was going to be okay. Credit to him, and not just his superstar status, JJ, but just the kind of person he is. This is the star amongst stars. We all know he's the face of the organization, okay? What does he do? He goes to the Warriors, and he tells them, I don't mind coming off the bench. I'll come back, but I don't mind coming off the bench. Let me just play the last 6 minutes of each quarter. Let me do it that way to get my bearings under him. I don't need to be in the starting lineup. I don't need to disrupt this flow that we're seeing. Well, a guy like Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, who's coming on strong. Klay Thompson ends the last 3 games of the regular season averaging 33. He's been lights out. He got on a little tear yesterday, hit 4 or 5 3-pointers, in a span. You look at Jordan Poole, this brother is 22 years old. He was in the G League last year. Listen, it ain't just his jump shot. It's the range on that shot. It's not just his shooting ability. It's his ability to create his own shot off the dribble because he got a handle. He can finish at the basket. He makes good decisions. He's absolutely fearless, and he matches the emotion that Steph particularly will give you on that basketball court to get that crowd riled up. I got a name for them. And are y'all ready for this name, JJ?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this name that I'm about to give you?
Yeah.
Everybody been talking about Dub, Big 3, the Dub 3, all these corny names and all of this other stuff like that. No, y'all. Go back, JJ Redick, to the days of Georgia Tech. You know where I'm going. Kenny Anderson, Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver. Lethal Weapon 3. That is the nickname, Warriors. Stephen A. just gave you a marketing tool. Lethal Weapon 3. That's Poole, that's Klay, that's Steph. It's who they are. And all I'm saying is my last point is reiterating my first point. Mm-hmm. They sat up there and said, we listening to Stephen A. Stephen A's right, y'all. This is what it is.
How many times has he
Watch First Take to Stephen A. Because he knows what the hell he talk about.
Stephen A, that's four. I think that's 4.
Warriors.
We got the outfit.
Warriors.
He's right. The Warriors, the dynasty needs to credit him.
For all the bad takes, how quick you are to take credit for a good take. Congratulations.
There you go.
You were right, saying the Warriors are a title contender. By the way, I love Lethal Weapon 3. Not just because of Poole, Thompson, and Curry, but this in some ways is the 3rd iteration of this Warriors championship window. And so there's sort of a double meaning there. I'm glad, by the way, that you say that matchups matter, because this is a terrible matchup for the Nuggets. To beat the Warriors, you obviously need basketball talent, and they're missing Jamal Murray, they're missing Michael Porter Jr., but you need high-level basketball IQ. This is what makes the Warriors so great, and it starts with Draymond Green. His stat line last night, 6 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, a block. Nothing that jumps out at you, but he was the quarterback on both sides of the ball last night. His passing, the ability to just move the ball, screen, direct traffic, and of course his defense on Jokic. He's making it tough on the reigning MVP and potentially the 2-time MVP. Every basket Jokic has to work for. There's so many times throughout this game and in game 1 where the Warriors are running basic screening action. Denver's trying to switch. They're point switching. The Warriors know this. Andrew Wiggins is getting slips to the basket. They're point switching from the lane. So the guy screening on Klay Thompson screens his own guy. Klay gets a wide open 3. So much is required to beat this team. So you need the talent. but you also need the intellect. And I just want to briefly touch on this new version of the Warriors' death lineup. Small sample size, very small sample size.
I agree.
But in 11 minutes so far in this series, Curry, Thompson, Poole, Wiggins, Draymond Green, 11 minutes. They've got a 204 offensive rating, a 75 defensive rating, a 129 net rating per 100 possessions. This lineup, that lineup, against any team in the league is going to be tough to beat.
Well, let me say this to you, JJ Redick, because I love how you love your analytics. I mean, you pull out those numbers, and I'm not knocking it. Let me finish.
We saw it.
You're not
we
wrong.
saw it, and the numbers backed it up.
But it's interesting because you are an athlete.
Let me say to you,
that you're
before
so
you
into
get
it.
all sensitive, JJ Redick, I just finished saying you're right. You make a valid point. I'm not disputing anything that you said. But I'm going to go with the eye test because that's what I like to focus on, because in the end, there are certain things that ain't about numbers. There's elements that take place within the throes of a game, as you well know, where, you know, you just feed off of it. Like I told you before, I've often wondered, I've looked at you on many, many occasions throughout your career. And what I loved about your game wasn't just that you could shoot. It was that you could shoot on the run. You could shoot on the move. And more importantly, you had a penchant for making big-time shots. You made shots that galvanized people around you and upped their level of fervor and play. That matters. When you're sitting up there and, you know, you've got this kind of ambiance where you're mumbling and nothing really, you're not passionate about anybody. Impassionate, and, you know, just being impassionate is really, really your signature. That is not something that usually works for champions, okay? You got to have that little extra oomph. And I'm saying that when you look at Golden State in San Francisco balling, in the moments that they do what they do, it deflates somebody. And I love the fact that you brought up IQ. Because when I looked at Denver yesterday, I felt so bad. Yeah, I felt bad for Jokic because Jamal Murray wasn't out there, because he's the kind of brother that would have kept him in the game because he'd have had 40, okay? He's one of those dudes, all right? But still in all, they would have found a way to lose a series like this because the matchup just doesn't work. Whereas when you think about Phoenix, what do you think about? The IQ of CP3. I'm with some people last night watching the game. I said, if that's CP3 and Golden State is making this run, CP3 gets the ball and he's like, calm down, everybody. And all of a sudden, he dictates the pace. He calls the right play. He does something not just to put a point in the basket, but to quell the momentum of Golden State, because that's how he can read things. That's why he's the best point guard in the world, approaching 37 years of age in less than 2 months. He's that damn lethal. And that is what Golden State's going to have to deal with. But the lethal weapon 3, hold on to that. Remember, I majored in advertising and communications too before I switched to mass communications. I know these headlines. Lethal weapon 3. That's the way to go, y'all. That's the tagline. Remember that.
It's much better than one I saw on Twitter last night, PTSD. I do think we're skipping a step here, though, Stephen A.
Okay.
Because when we talk about matchups, you're sort of skipping the Western Conference semifinals. And obviously, Memphis down 1-0, big game tonight. We'll talk about that. But to me, Memphis is a team that could potentially beat the Warriors. I don't think the Timberwolves are capable of beating the Warriors, but I think Memphis, they match up well with them. They had success against them in the regular season. That's obviously a very confident group. Mm-hmm. And Taylor Jenkins is a hell of a coach. So I do think that matchup-wise is a potential hurdle for this Suns-Warriors conference final.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. I'm saying at the end of the day, what we hope for, what we're wishing for and anticipating is Golden State versus Phoenix. But I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm not summarily dismissing that. Now, Memphis got to handle their business, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But when I look at these Warriors, the team that I see that has the potential to knock them off is Phoenix. It ain't Memphis.
No question. And Draymond doing his thing, too, holding the Joker just to 8 points. I didn't mention that in the lead and focused on the offense. All right, guys, let's keep it rolling here. Last night at the Sixers, they made easy work of a hobbled Toronto Raptors team again, 112-97. The MVP finalist Joel Embiid put up 31 points and 11 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey showed he's no postseason fluke as the 76ers take a 2-0 lead in the first-round series. Toronto frustrated. Nick Nurse not feeling the calls, and that's what Embiid and Nurse were discussing as time expired last night. Joel, what did you say?
I told him, respectfully, told him to stop my calls because I saw what he said last game. If you're going, triple team somebody, they're bound to get to the free throw line. So, I feel like, every fouls were legit and probably should have been more, honestly.
He was saying to me that, I'm going to keep making all the free throws if you keep fouling me. And I said, well, you might have to.
Okay. JJ Redick, 2 J's, 1 D. I got it down now. First, I want to focus on that. What do you make of that back and forth between Embiid and Nurse?
That's just a normal conversation and competition. I do want to say this is something that's going to happen throughout the playoffs as long as Philly's still an active team. It started before Game 1. It happened between Game 1 and Game 2. The Raptors have been planting seeds in the media, talking about the fouling. This is what you're going to have to deal with when you play against Embiid and Harden. Those guys are so smart and so good at drawing fouls. And to me, last night, in those first 8-10 minutes of the game, the Raptors came out with an aggression. Fred VanVleet was awesome. Came out with an aggression offensively and a physicality defensively. And Joel said, no, you cannot out-physical me. They're just outmatched in this series. Stephen A., when I look at this series, they're paying so much attention to Joel because they have no one that can even slow him down one-on-one. And their guards, their off-ball defenders are just sitting in these gaps with wide open passing lanes, and it's like target practice. For Danny Green, for George Niang, for Shake Milton, these guys are getting wide open practice threes. Feet set, clear lane, no one within 5 feet of them. I just don't think the Raptors have the personnel to slow this Philly team down. And on top of that, let's give a shout out to Tyrese Maxey, who has looked like a star in these first 2 games. They still need Harden to be some version of the Brooklyn Harden that we saw prior to the hamstring injury last year. I don't think they need him to be Houston Harden, but to win a championship, they need at least the Brooklyn Harden prior to the hamstring injury. But Tyrese Maxey, I mean, is he a second option? Is he a third? I don't know. He's amazing right now.
Let's get a couple of things out of the way, JJ Redick. Don't disagree with anything that you said, but I got a different point of view I want to express.
Okay.
Number one, series is over. Let's get that out the way. Let's tell country Canada, it was really, really nice that your basketball team was in the postseason. It's over, okay? You're not winning this series, all right? If you win this series, Doc Rivers will be out of a job. There's no way you can lose this series to the Toronto Raptors, and they're not going to lose it. I predict this series will be over in 5, if not a sweep. I'm just being nice. Because Masai Ujiri got so much respect for him. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet got so much respect for them that I don't want to call for a sweep. But you're going home. This is over in 5. Let's get that out the way. Number 1. Number 2, Tyrese Maxey, beautiful game, continuing to blossom. We understand that what we're seeing from him, nobody expected. He didn't expect to see 38 points in game 1, what he had last night, like 23 or what? Yeah, he had 23 last night. I mean, he was impressive, no doubt about that. I'm very concerned about James Harden. We got to stop. I mean, we got to have a conversation about James Harden that we haven't had. We talked about the pressure. We talked about, there have been, even though I'm not going to call him a choke artist like other people have. I don't feel that way about him. But he has had some questionable, highly questionable, even bad games in the postseason. He's had some good games. He's had some bad games. That's not where I'm going here, Jay. James Harden doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
He hasn't looked the same since that very hamstring injury he suffered last year in Brooklyn that you talked about. I'm not seeing a guy that can get by people with ease. I'm seeing the ball handling skills, but he can't get by folks. He can't shrug off defenders the way I was accustomed to seeing. He'd dance on you. He had people scared to death, not just because of his step back, Jay, but his quickness of foot and how he could get by you. He was able to draw fouls because he could get a step on you and put you in a compromising position where you had to foul and prevent him from scoring a basket because he was so lightning quick. Plus, he had a quick release. Plus, he could step back and drill a three. And I still think he can step back and drill a three. I'm talking separation. I don't see that. And the reason why that's a big deal, you didn't bring James Harden here to beat the Toronto Raptors. You brought him for the next round and the round after that. So what the likelihood is, here's what we've got. Because Chicago, you'll make a valiant effort, but you ain't beating Milwaukee. You losing that series. Let's just get that over with, okay? So we got Miami next, because they're going to beat Atlanta, because Atlanta is just depleted. If Collins and Capella were there, that would be different. But the fact is, even though they're talking about Collins coming back, he ain't, he's been out. I don't know how good he's going to be. Capella's hampered, obviously. I think this Miami is just a little too deep, and I think they win that series. Harden has to go against them. You talk about P.J. Tucker, you talk about Jimmy Butler, and a host of dudes they're going to throw at him. And if you're fortunate enough to pull that off, you got Milwaukee along with Boston or Brooklyn waiting for you. And I assure you, Harden would rather go on vacation than face Brooklyn. I promise you that. Because there's some personal stuff going on there. Oh, Lord, he don't want that matchup. I am concerned at what I'm seeing from James Harden, the individual player's inability to gain separation the way he once did, JJ. What are you seeing?
So, first of all, I think the Eastern Conference semifinals, that round, whatever the matchups end up being, is going to be fascinating. These next two rounds after the first round are going to be high-level basketball, and matchups are going to matter, as you brought up. Your concern is legitimate. Your concern is legitimate. The question becomes, is this version of James Harden, along with the emergence of Tyrese Maxey, obviously the shooting around Joel, and Tobias Harris as that third, fourth option offensively, is that enough to win the East? Assuming Joel Embiid is at his best and is playing at an MVP level, is that enough? And I agree with you. They didn't bring in this.
Talk about games one
I'm talking about the version of James Harden we're seeing right now.
It was a different 1 or 2. Game 1, he had 22 points, 14 assists. Yeah, last night, it wasn't the same as game 1. Which one?
He was 2 for 10 from 2 in game 1.
That's
the separation, the ability to blow by guys. We haven't seen that in a long time from James. Okay. So I'm talking about that concern. This version, the version that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and at times this season in Brooklyn, is that version as a facilitator, as a basketball genius, as a guy who can get you 10 to 12 assists a game, making the right plays. There's still always going to be attention paid to James. I brought up Joel earlier and the passing lanes that he has to pick apart this defense. Look, Maxey had 38 in game 1. I'm watching in the first half, James isoing at the top of the key. Fred VanVleet off the ball guarding Tyrese Maxey is 12 feet away in the gap, ready to help on James. The attention's still going to be there. Is this version, the thinking version of James Harden's game, who maybe has lost a little bit of a step and explosiveness, is this version good enough, along with all the other stuff I talked about, is that good enough to be a championship team? I don't know the answer to that.
I do.
I don't know the answer to that.
I do. You see, you're reluctant to be definitive, and I respect
that. I'm not. No.
I don't have that.
Because I like to watch basketball play out. I like to watch basketball play out. I am not a prisoner of the moment, Stephen.
Well, listen, you can say that. You can say that on television, but we damn well know off air you're a prisoner of the moment just like anybody else. You see what you see and you make predictions. You just don't publicize them. I, on the other hand, have no problem with that. All I'm saying to you is this. When I look at James Harden, I'm thinking about it's not about him. It's about the credibility of the competition. In the Milwaukee Bucks, we're talking about the reigning defending champions. In the Miami Heat, we're talking about a franchise whose culture is about championships and having a championship pedigree. And the personnel that they've that they built this roster with is rife with guys who have been there before, either champions themselves or very deep in the playoffs. Not to mention the coach who's a two-time champion and a basketball executive who's one of the iconic figures this sport has ever seen. And so you've got that going on. And then, of course, in Brooklyn, you got a two-time champion in KD. You got a champion in Kyrie Irving. I am saying this version of James Harden, that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough.
I just want to acknowledge one thing, though. Let's acknowledge that James Harden is not 25 or 26 years old. He's in his 13th season. He's on the other side of 30. There were a lot of miles that he had to run in Houston. There was a load that he had to carry in Houston for a number of years. There's a lot of miles on his body.
I'm lost. What's the purpose of bringing that up? Why?
I want to at least acknowledge. Well, he is a human being. Let's give him a little bit of grace. You're
How are we not giving him grace?
No, you're expecting some version of him that existed 5 years ago. That's not going to happen. And by the way, like CP, everybody was down on him in 2019, his second year with Houston. He had the hamstring injury.
And we were wrong.
And we were wrong because he completely changed his body. He completely changed his diet.
Yeah, but he did it. And he proved us wrong because he changed and altered his way. You just sat up there and gave an epitaph. Well, he's not what he used to be. He's bought a lot of mileage. He's been there. I'm going saying, like, there's not. Wait a minute. I want to say something.
I'm saying he might not be the same player, but the next version of him could be good enough. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, I will say something definitive. Because you're saying I don't make proclamations. I don't. Assuming Heat win and assuming the Sixers win, which I think is very likely, and I think will happen. I don't like that matchup for Philly. I like that matchup for Miami.
All I'm trying to say to you, JJ Redick, respectfully, is that when we're highlighting how proficient you once were and what your deficiencies may be, we take into account Father Time. I started off the conversation by mentioning the hamstring injury. I didn't sit up there and say he doesn't care, he's a scrub, he can't play. We know the greatness of James Harden, which is why some people expect more. And if he doesn't give it, we'll understand it to some degree. It doesn't mean he shouldn't be allowed to walk the streets of Philadelphia and that he cheated the game. We're just pointing out the competition that you're going against requires that you resemble to some degree what we've seen in years past in order for you to win a championship. That is not insulting him. That's simply highlighting basketball and what comes with it. And we're talking basketball.
But yeah, Harden's 32, Maxi's 21. Get it. Big age gap there. By the way, real quick, congrats to Doc Rivers, his 100th career playoff win, tied with Larry Brown for 4th all-time now. We'll get to the next game, fellas. No Luka, no problem. This was surprising. The Mavs take game 2 versus the Utah Jazz to knot the series at 1 game apiece. Jason Kidd wants to see Jalen Brunson get paid, rightfully so. He had 41, 8 and 5 last night. Jalen, how are you getting it done?
I mean, I'm just being myself. I mean, just being aggressive, trying to make plays for myself and teammates, engaging multiple people, trying to create a problem. I mean, the mentality stays the same whether he's on the floor or not, and he's a great player. I mean, my mentality has to stay the same every time.
Tried, to go out there and take both. Didn't happen. I'm not going to overreact, and we're going to go home and we got to take care of business. Simple as that. They're going to try and split, just like we did here. At the end of the day, we're happy we took a game and go back and take care of business.
All right, Stephen A. As the series shifts to Utah, what's at stake for Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz?
If the Utah Jazz don't win this series, they need to reload. They need to just break it up. But I want to go a step further, JJ, because I got something on my mind. And put JJ up on the screen because I want to see him when I'm saying this, guys. JJ, I got to confess to you, even though I can sit up there and be emotional and all that stuff, it's all good. It's all a good time just doing television, whatever. I got to confess to you, man, I can't stand the damn Utah Jazz. They make me sick. And I got to say this. And I ain't talking. Now, let me put some exceptions here. I love the new owner and his wife and the wonderful things, this wonderful feature we ran on ESPN with Mark Spears and whatever, and the scholarship thing. I mean, that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I love where their heart is, and I love what they're doing as an organization in that regard. I love the fact that my man, my brother D. Wade is a part of that ownership group. And I love me some Donovan Mitchell. I mean, this brother is special. I can't stand anything else about it. I love the city. The city's nice. People are great. The scenic is beautiful. I can't stand this team. Why? Because they always wet the bed. They make me sick. I mean, they really do. Now, listen, let's put this in its proper perspective. So, Luka Doncic is out. Luka Doncic. We got that. So, you got good players on Dallas. You know, Dorian Finney-Smith and obviously Jalen Brunson and, you know, all of that. But Doncic is out. Tim Hardaway Jr. is out. It's a playoff game. And Jalen Brunson drops 41. He's a good player. I like him a lot. I used to cover his father, by the way, JJ, at Temple. Rick Brunson. I covered Rick Brunson, my brother. Good people, man. And I doubted his son a little bit when he's at Villanova, and he showed me something. I'm a fan of Jalen Brunson. But 41 points? This is what Utah does. This is what they do. Every single time you expect something from them, they let you down. And last night was no reason. First of all, Quinn Snyder, you're a hell of a coach, man. Have you not figured? I mean, a hell of a coach. You know that, JJ, better than me. How does it? Stevie Wonder could see Rudy Gobert should not be playing in the. He just can't cover anybody. Because, I mean, you got perimeter shooters. He can't get out on them, man. Why is he out there? The same problem last year when you were going up against the Clippers. The styles make fights. Get them off the floor. You got to go small. You can't do this. And all I'm saying is, if I'm Donovan Mitchell, if I lose this series, man, I take my jersey, I walk out, and I throw that damn thing in the trash. I don't even fly home with the team. I fly commercial or private jet. I just get the hell out of there. Just get me the hell out of this town. I'm sick of Utah. I really am sick of They get on my damn nerves. That's what I wanted to say, JJ. I'm sorry. It was on my mind every single time. You believe in Utah, they let you down. They just let you down. It's who they are. Go ahead, man.
No, to answer the original question, I think it's obvious that if they lose this first-round series, major changes are coming. And I'm going to give my little rant here, but I want to follow up. So hold on to this thought. Sure. If they do make major changes, is that Gobert going?
Yes.
Or is it Donovan going? So
it's Gobert.
Yeah. So having Rudy Gobert on the floor, and I hope I get this phrase correctly and I'm using it in the right context, but is a little bit of a catch-22. And so what we've seen in the playoffs is that teams will go small because either he's not able to punish switches and against smaller players, or Utah is unwilling to give him the ball. Not saying one or the other. So they spread him out. They put whoever he's guarding in the corner, and then they just break down the defense. Gobert has no choice but to go and protect the rim, like his instincts tell him. Quick swing pass to the corner, three, or a swing for a slot three. We've seen this time and time again. Now, you're saying take him off the court. Here's the problem with that. Utah has no one that can guard on the ball. Royce O'Neal is probably their best perimeter defender, and he's done a fine job historically. But outside of that, they don't have anybody that can contain the dribble. And so when you're playing against a team like Dallas, who has Jalen Brunson, who has Spencer Dinwiddie, who can continuously break down defenses, what choice do you have but to leave him on the floor? What choice do you have?
Can I respond to that?
Of course.
I'm saying to you.
Like Hassan Whiteside's not the answer. Rudy Gay is my age. He's not the answer. He's not going to give you the defense.
What I'm saying to you is that you got to find fresh young legs. And when I'm not trying to tell you bench him like you don't play him a single minute or anything like that. I'm saying when you see these guys pushing the tempo, pushing the ball up the floor, shooting perimeter shots, and you're struggling to get out on shooters. You have to have somebody that at least can contest well enough to get a hand in the face. Rudy Gobert isn't in the vicinity, and in fairness to him, how can we expect him to be? We know he's about 7 feet, 7'1", but damn it, he's a true big man. To ask him to go out on the perimeter to contest perimeter shots is a bit too much for somebody who is not as sleek a foot as he is. That's the reality of the situation, J.J. Redick. You know that. You've got to be able to have some able bodies that are just mobile. They can move and give some level of resistance on the threes. And if you have to give up something in the interior, you do that, but at least you stay in the game. You match tempo, and you're able to make things happen in that regard. I'm not trying to knock. Listen, I'm not trying to act like they've got dudes on their bench that you could just insert in there and they're going to make it happen.
That's the problem. They don't have the perimeter personnel.
But if you have somebody that's such a flagrant liability, you got to try something. You got to try something,
but here's
JJ.
the point. Here's the point. Who is the liability? Who is the liability? Is it the perimeter defense, or is it Gobert? No. Because Gobert has cleaned up a lot of the mess of their perimeter defense. He's done that over and over. He's been one of the best defensive players in NBA history. Okay. That's a fact, Steve. That is a fact.
Hold on.
So
during the
is
regular
he the
season,
liability?
During the regular season, I'm not questioning that during the playoffs. You trying to tell me that's true? Listen, I'll defer to you, JJ. I'll defer to you. I'm telling you what I saw covering Utah last year and what I see thus far. I see I'm just saying the dude is big and a bit slow to get out on shooters. You move the basketball adroitly enough. Guess what? You're going to get open perimeter shots with Gobert on the floor defending against you because he can't get out. They got to overcompensate, and as a result, Dallas had a lot of open shots last night. I'm lying about that? I'm making this up?
No, I think they made 17 uncontested threes, something crazy like that. Look, it goes back to what I said at the beginning.
It was 17.
Gobert or Donovan. If you do have to decide to rebuild, I said this to you a couple months ago.
Okay.
The Utah Jazz have felt stale this entire season.
You did say that.
They have felt stale.
Did say that.
That's the word I would use to describe them. It's the same stuff over and over again. It's the same weaknesses over and over again. So major changes have to come. If they end up losing this series, if they end up losing the second round, major changes still have to come. And then it becomes a question of organizational goals. Is your organizational goal to win a championship?
Last word here, Stephen A., then we got to roll.
For clarification purposes, Molly.
Yes, sir.
We both agree. Obviously, Gobert would be the one that goes instead of Donovan Mitchell. When I brought up Donovan Mitchell, I'm saying Donovan Mitchell should want out. I didn't say Utah should move him out.
Yeah.
I'm saying Donovan Mitchell should not want to be there any longer.
That's because you want him on the Knicks.
If they lose this damn series.
That's because you want him on your Knicks.
That is true.
I don't
think it's going to happen, but I'll be damned if I lie about that. I'll take anything. If the Knicks need everything. Everything.
Yeah. Death taxes and personal agendas on First Take. Still to come, a gut-wrenching loss. JJ, quick takes, let's get it. Boston Celtics guard Marcus Smart has been named the NBA Defensive Player of the Year. This marks the first Defensive Player of the Year award for Smart, who becomes the first guard to earn the honor since Gary Payton in 95-96. Do you like it?
I like it. I love it. I want some more of it, actually. No, I'm serious. Listen,
okay.
Perimeter guys don't get their due because of advanced stats, because of the importance of defensive rebounding and defensive field goal percentage in the paint. But Marcus Smart and Mikal Bridges are the guys that are going out and guarding the best players on an island every single night. You can't undervalue their importance to winning basketball.
Very smart play. I know you appreciate that. Yeah. There we go. I can hang too, folks, kind of. Jason Tatum's buzzer-beating layup gave the Boston Celtics a dramatic 115-114 win over the Brooklyn Nets in their series opener on Sunday. Tatum scored 16 of his 31 in the second, along with adding 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. That's production. Kyrie Irving put up a game-high 39. And Kevin Durant put up 23 points, went 9 of 24 from the floor. Game 2, Boston, Wednesday. Look who's here. My Monica McNutt.
Hey, friend.
Hey.
Hi.
Great to have you. Everybody's. Stephen A., you should be at the party. New York's the place to be, not L.A.
Whoa. Couple of points. Number one, I have a vote. I voted for Mikal Bridges for Defensive Player of the Year, not Marcus Smart, but I will say this. Very, very happy for Marcus Smart because he was number 2 on my list. He was very deserving of the award, and I'm really, really happy for him. Having said all of that, Monica McNutt, I don't know if they told you this. but you're sitting in a certain chair. There's an incredible level of expectation and responsibility that comes with sitting in that chair.
I got you.
And I'm watching.
JJ, should we get the tally? I think that's the fifth compliment to himself in the first hour.
This
Was it the
guy's
sixth?
really feeling himself today.
It is
He's really
unbelievable.
Where'd you eat dinner last night?
Yeah, okay.
Did the Pats get you?
Yeah, exactly,
The paparazzi
Hollywood.
get you? What happened last night? I need to know.
Definitely did. He's like, I need a table in the back.
Catch off from Melrose is it's one of my favorite spots. Catch is nice.
You know they have catch out here in New York City too, meat packets, but it's all good.
It ain't like the one out here.
Oh, okay. The views are a little different. Same building, different views.
It's a little different.
Okay.
It's a little different.
Settle down. All right. Monica, I can't with him. Tell me this. I think this is the most exciting series. It feels like this could be the Eastern Conference Finals. Can the Nets afford to go down 2-0?
The Nets cannot afford to go down 2-0, Molly, JJ, and Stephen A. And the deal is the confidence factor, right? The Celtics. Listen, Kevin Durant did not play great. 6 turnovers, 9 of 23, whatever it was, that's fine. But the Celtics still were able to win, and they used everything that they have. If the Nets go down 2-0, it probably is going to mean that they're going to have to find some more defensive prowess, which I don't know is going to emerge in the course of this series. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Celtics, Jason Tatum in particular, who I thought was the best two-way player in that game, is just going to continue to elevate. We've talked about him chasing Kevin Durant in terms of the style of his game and all the things that he can do. I think between those guys playing with more confidence, and I trust, at this point, Ime Udoka would have been one of my finalists for Coach of the Year. I trust him if this thing gets tight down the road a little bit more than I do Steve Nash. I do not think the Nets can afford to go down 2-0. Or 0-2, rather.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you, and I'll just provide 2 recent examples. Nobody probably knows better than the Nets that winning the first 2 games of a series doesn't mean you win the series. This happened last year against the Bucks. A lot can happen within a playoff series, and of course the finals last year. The finals last year. Suns going up 2-0, Milwaukee coming back 4-2. I know the Celtics won. We should just acknowledge how close to winning Brooklyn was in Game 1. And I go back, and I wasn't here yesterday, but I go back to the play 114-111 when Jaylen Brown is bringing it down the court against Bruce Brown. They're pinning away for Jason Tatum. Nick Claxton has his back turned to the ball and provides this incredible driving lane. And that quick bucket is what allowed them to have 10, 14 seconds, whatever it was, once they got the ball on the defensive stop, to make 3 or 4 passes and get that layup. The Nets are good enough to beat the Celtics. A lot of this series will hinge on tomorrow night's game. But with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, as good as the Nets are, they are absolutely capable of coming back from down 2-0. They have the talent. This is not a case of Denver Warriors or, Atlanta, Miami, where these 2 teams are overmatched. This is an equal series to me, and tomorrow's game is pivotal for sure, but it won't decide the series.
You notice, you see how JJ Redick is, y'all. See how JJ Redick is. Stephen A. I mean, you're right for a change and blah blah blah. Monica speaks. I respectfully disagree. You see how that works? I mean, the whole tone just changed. I mean, let's embrace them. All right, that's fine. JJ, you're wrong. Here's the deal. The Brooklyn Nets had better win Game 2 tomorrow night. They better win Game 2. They don't win Game 2. I can't see the Brooklyn Nets winning 4 out of 5 games. Now, I picked them to win this series in 7 games. So let me tell you how I think this is going to go. Tomorrow night in Game 2, KD drops 40. Okay, drops 40. All right, Kyrie going to have 30 at least. KD drops 40. They escape Boston with Game 2. They come back to Brooklyn. They're going to split Game 3 and 4. They're going to go back to Boston for Game 5. And obviously, both teams are going to handle their business on their home court for Games 5 and 6. And then we're going to have a Game 7 at TD Bank Garden. That's how I see this unfolding. This is the reason why I say to you, regardless of what I just said and prognosticated, the reality of the situation is it's a very daunting task to ask this Brooklyn team to come back from a 2-0 deficit for this reason. I picked Boston to lose this series because Robert Williams hasn't been available, and even if he comes back, it's still going to be challenging for him. But the reality is that if you down 0-2 and you got to win 4 or 5, Robert Williams III is expected back for this series. Now, how would I know about the value of Robert Williams in terms of his contribution to their defense and whatever? Not only because I know my basketball, not only because I watch, okay? I don't just read about the games, I actually watch the games, okay? But also because my brother from another mother, J.J. Redick, was raving about them. I recall, once upon a time, we were watching them, and we were talking about what a hard, difficult watch they were because all they did was play one-on-one and stuff like that. They weren't playing team basketball. They weren't doing all of those things. And then they flipped the switch and all of a sudden turned it on, upped their defensive prowess significantly from a collective standpoint. They're the best defensive team in the NBA, and we saw something different. And J.J. Redick came on First Take talking about that defense and talking about Robert Williams. So when J.J. Redick sits up there and says, well, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to rule it out if they're down 0-2, that they could come back and win this series. I'm like, it debunks everything that you've been saying about what you have seen from the Boston Celtics over the last 40, 50 games. That's where I'm coming from, Jay.
Well, I don't think it debunks what I've seen over the last 40 or 50 games. I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility that a Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving team could come back from down 2-0. We have two recent examples of that, of great teams being able to do that. By the way, I want
the price of tea in China. I mean, the bottom line is it's a daunting task.
I want to make a point, Stephen A., because I did say that to you early in the season. I don't know if it was November or December. I said to you, December, you're right. It was right before, I think it was January 7th they started this run.
Yep.
Right before that happened, I said to you, the Boston Celtics are my least favorite team to watch in the NBA. For all the reasons you mentioned. There was no trust.
And you were right.
And what we witnessed on that last offensive possession was nothing but trust. Jaylen Brown had a matchup where he could have just shot a contested shot. He saw Marcus Smart on the weak side. Marcus Smart had an open shot, saw two defenders running at him, created off the dribble. Jason Tatum obviously makes a great cut. The trust is there. They built that trust, I think, defensively because they've been so dominant defensively.
I agree. I just want to jump in here, though. But for those reasons, JJ, I almost feel like, or that is part of the reason that I feel like the Nets cannot afford to go down 0-2 in this series. One of the things that I had issue with the idea of Kyrie as a part-time player was the continuity that was or wasn't created. Are those guys dynamic, box office, all of that? 100%. There's no doubt about it. But in a series, if all the games are like game one and they are this close, trust, confidence, continuity, all of those things will matter. And to me, the Boston Celtics have a far more balanced ability, to have a balanced attack on both sides of the floor. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room for the Nets to afford to go down 0-2. That's just where I'm at.
You have Boston winning the series?
I had the Nets winning the series originally, but if they go down 0-2.
Where are you right now?
Oh, I think I've said from the beginning, I think Boston's going to win the series.
Yeah,
I think the Boston's going to win the series. But my point is, I don't think tonight will dictate the possibility of it going back to Game 6,
Tomorrow.
Game 7, or tomorrow. Tomorrow night will dictate the impossibility of it going back to a Game 6 or Game 7 where the Nets have 3 victories.
Real quick, because I only have you once a week. Then if it is Boston,
I'm here tomorrow.
Oh, you're here tomorrow?
Yeah, back-to-back days.
Can I still ask now? Can I ask him now?
Molly,
what did I do wrong?
Stephen A's mad because Monica and I talked before he talked.
This brother can't stay away from me. I mean, J.J. Redick know what time it is. The brother got to be on TV with me. He know that.
Who do you think's going to win the series?
I got Brooklyn in 7. I got Brooklyn in 7.
He has Brooklyn.
And for one reason. KD.
Okay, can I just ask you my question really fast, yes or no? And you said you would have the 76ers, they wouldn't win against Miami potentially. Yeah. So if it was Miami and the Celtics, who would you have?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's great.
I think you got
want to think about it? I'll let you think about it
if
you want.
Let me think about that.
Okay, you could think about it. Yes, Stephen. Yes.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
But why are we not saying the Bucks? What happened to the Bucks?
Dude.
And the outfit.
What happened to the Bucks? Because I've been saying for the last month or so, I think the Bucks are the best team in the East.
But so
we're just gonna not talk about that.
Monica.
All right.
Monica.
The Bucks sent us great gift baskets yesterday.
You see the swag?
I do see the swag. I love it. I love a little uncle on East
saying.
Sunday, a little
I'm
vibe.
just saying.
Love it.
I'm just saying. Yeah. We got to take them when we can get them.
That's 6.
No,
6, Molly.
No, it's
times
definitely
that he's
7.
complimented
You
himself.
spaced out on one of them. It's 7. I'm keeping a tally. I'm going to get like a little ticker going. It's going to be great.
Funny.
All right, we'll get into commercial. Having fun. Still to come on First Take. Don't look now, but the Warriors. My goodness. 34-3 and 4 off the bench in just 23 minutes of work in the small ball lineup. It's working, folks. And a 20-point win over the Denver Nuggets, the big 3 intact. Some calling it a big 4 with Jordan Poole going off as well, adding 29. The Dubs sitting pretty up 2. Oh, if I could get this to go, Monica. Anyway. It's tough to be a woman. You guys have no idea. All you have to do is put a suit on and get a haircut, okay? So I don't want to hear nothing from any of you. That's why I'm focused on you here.
Complaints.
Relax, Stephen A.
Yeah.
Relax.
Take it down a notch, okay, Hollywood? Just settle down. Monica, I asked the fellas this earlier. What message are the Warriors sending right now?
Ah, man. Is it we back? Like Draymond's been saying all season that he never felt like they were not in the conversation. And listen, when we start talking about teams that are true contenders in the West, they've always been a part of the conversation. I think when Steph got hurt and Draymond was out, rightfully so, Phoenix, Memphis, other folks ascending, and that's just the ebbs and flows of an NBA season. But with this particular lineup and the emergence of Jordan Poole, it is wild in my mind that the conversation is a little bit about the supporting cast around Jordan Poole to a degree, right? Like, of course you mean that a little bit jokingly, but he has been able to be Steph in moments. He's been able to be Clay in moments because of the system that is so well in place and established when it comes to this Warriors organization. And it has been really, really impressive.
JJ?
The message that the Warriors are sending is that everybody need to watch First Take every morning. Stephen A. been telling everybody. He been telling y'all all season long. He been telling y'all all season long.
Put us on camera. Put us on camera, everyone. Put it up.
That's what it is.
3, 8, I can't count.
They've been saying, the Warriors saying, y'all need to watch First Take, okay? Because Stephen A. been telling y'all. Stephen A. been telling y'all, all right? And I got a new nickname for them. I know you heard it when I said everybody talk about Big 3, Dub 3, all this corny nonsense and stuff like that. Remember, before I went to Winston-Salem State, I was at Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, majoring in advertising and communication. I kind of know this stuff, okay? I'm telling you what the name is. Lethal Weapon 3. Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. That's the new leader. Dennis Scott would approve. Dennis Scott does a great job for TNT and NBA TV. Ask him. He was a part of Lethal Weapon 3 at Georgia Tech with my brother Kenny Anderson and, of course, Brian Oliver. You know, let me tell you something. This is Lethal Weapon 3 right here. These brothers, we didn't expect this from Poole. And the fact that you got Poole able to do this, I mean, hold on. I'm just getting a little bit emotional talking about this right now, okay?
Oh, my God.
I'm getting a little bit emotional. Let me tell you something, JJ. Let me tell you something, JJ. JJ, I've been out in L.A., man, since last week because we had to do NBA countdown out here, right? Been out in L.A., right,
Thanks for clarifying.
JJ, check out the deal, man. Monica, check this out.
We're listening.
I am in L.A. And as you can see, I'm in L.A., right? We got LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook.
Are we really going to bring up the Lakers? God dang it.
Hold on. No. I'm not mentioning them. I just mentioned the players. I didn't say the team. We got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And the playoffs started in L.A. and ain't a damn game happening, okay? Like a damn morgue in this city because of the contaminations that has taken place with these two teams. Don't get me started. So to see the NBA provide this level of excitement, of entertainment, with stars everywhere. I mean, it just touches my heart. I'm loving the NBA right now. And the Golden State Warriors are a big reason why. Lethal Weapon 3. The message the Warriors have sent is, y'all must have forgot who the hell we are.
Can I just be clear on two things? I just want to be clear. So, Stephen A., you're in L.A., right? I just want to be clear.
The one thing, Stephen A. and JJ,
and your outfits fly, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
And you were at Catch last
because
night, right?
my job, I want Dave Roberts to make sure I'm doing my job, is just to clarify what's happening on the show and to recap. So I just want to clarify and recap.
That's hilarious. Okay, the one caveat I will put on this series, JJ, is like the Nuggets are probably the worst matchup versus the Warriors. That's the one thing. I'm not knocking how good Jordan Poole is looking. The system has been amazing. Warriors, red alert, woo woo, lethal weapon 3, whatever.
Lethal weapon 3.
They got 48% of their shots last night were considered uncontested according to our stats and research team. Like, that's not going to happen moving forward. Not that they're not a good team, though, but I'm just saying, let's keep that in mind.
They created those opportunities.
Well,
the
that's
way they
what I was
moved the
going to say.
basketball without the ball.
There was a long stretch of seasons, and I don't quite remember the seasons it was, but it was 3 or 4 seasons. And if you looked at the players who shot the most uncontested threes in the NBA, number 1 was Steph and number 2 was Clay. So much of beating the Warriors is having the basketball intellect to deal with their movement, their cutting, their screening. I just don't think the Denver Nuggets have that. So the question becomes, Stephen A., does Memphis have that? Does Phoenix have that? Which I think they do. This potential second-round matchup with Memphis, and I think this Memphis Minnesota matchup is awesome, and I expect this to be maybe the second most entertaining series after Nets Celtics.
Okay.
But that is what is required to beat the Warriors. Draymond Green as the quarterback defensively, Draymond Green as the quarterback offensively, dictating traffic, dictating cutters, dictating ball movement side to side. There's so much, and I played against this. I played against iteration 1 and iteration 2 of the Warriors dynasty, pre-Kevin Durant, with Kevin Durant.
Right.
So much is required to even have a chance at the end of a game to beat this team.
That's right. And are you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
You'll appreciate where I'm coming from with this, because we know that Jordan Poole, is beautiful and marvelous as he is as a player right now, is no Kevin Durant. But you want me to tell you the interesting part about Jordan Poole? He moves without the ball more. And his movement, combined with Steph's movement, combined with what Clay brings you, that is something special. And I love the fact that you bring up IQ, because it's going to take IQ to stop these brothers. They ain't getting open shots because defenses are lax. I mean, you trying to figure out where the hell are they? You know, like amoebas for crying out loud. You're like, what? I don't know where the hell they are. They're moving like that. You understand? You're trying to find them. And here's the beauty. You ain't trying to find 1. You trying to find 3. And while you trying to find the 3, you got a point forward extraordinaire in Draymond who knows how to feed all of them. All of them. And I'm telling y'all right now, you better watch out. Listen, Memphis, they got to handle their business. And I can't wait till we get into these Memphis Grizzlies. I can't wait till y'all hear. I can't wait to talk about them. You understand?
Let's name the 5th guy, too, Stephen A., which is Andrew Wiggins. And I talked about this I talked about this in the previous hour. But one of the things that makes the Warriors so hard to guard is their screening action, because so many teams try to switch like-size defenders. The Warriors know that. They've played against it for the last 6-7 years.
I agree.
After every timeout,
I agree.
Andrew Wiggins is going to set a screen for one of those 3 shooters and slip.
But
how the Nuggets don't have that on the scouting report and how they're still falling for that twice in Game 2 is beyond me.
Fair. But here's the flip side to it. Forgive me if I didn't want to bring up Andrew Wiggins, because after being suspect about him for years, okay, the man played lights out this year, was worthy of his all-star appearance, incredibly talented. There's no doubt about it. But there have been times since all-star break, there's been a damn APB out for him. I mean, we've been looking for him, okay? Now, you know that's true. And you know that's true. There have been times where he's just not there. Now, we know his ability. We're not questioning his ability. But there are times where we have questioned, I mean, damn, are you going to be present? Did you punch in the clock and show up to work today? We don't got those questions about those not Lethal Weapon 3. And damn sure not Draymond. Lethal Weapon 3. The message the Warriors sent. Watch First Take.
We're going to count this as a tally.
Yeah, it's with
and you gassing yourself up. So this is number 9. This is the 9th time today.
You know what I'm actually going to do?
I'm just saying.
Ask producers to get me this clip, and when I'm having like a low moment or a low day, I'm just going to watch this whole segment.
Which one y'all talking about? You talking about Lethal Weapon 3? Or you talking about the swag? Or you talking about the backdrop?
All of it.
I mean, what you talking about? I mean, I don't understand which one you pick.
All of it.
Which one you picking?
All of it. All things Stephen A.
I go with that.
The business, that is Stephen A. Smith.
By the way, I almost flew to the game last night, but I was very busy.
Let me guess.
I couldn't make
it.
I couldn't make it to San Francisco.
The owner, sent you the jet. Yeah, we know.
I'm just saying. I almost went. I just didn't have the time.
Oh,
but I'm
man.
gonna make it out to the
Personal
break.
agendas, Molly. Personal agenda.
Big
Catch
personal
called.
agenda.
There's a
Personal
lot of
agendas.
themes on this show, and loyal viewers will pick up.
Ain't nobody live larger than JJ Redick. Just because he quiet about it don't make him innocent. JJ big time, y'all. Okay, we trying to get there. All right, JJ is big time. Don't
Now
get
you're
it
on
twisted
blast.
now.
Wow.
Do you want to tell us what you did for dinner? Or can I go to break? I can go to break.
I did some barbecue chicken out on the grill.
With your family?
With my
At home?
With my wife and my 7-year-old.
Okay.
My 5-year-old is in Florida for spring break with his grandparents. So. Yeah,
Very
that's
cute.
my life, Stephen A.
Very cute.
This guy's a catch.
Still to come on First Take, a dominant performance. Four-handed Raptors 112-97, taking a commanding 2-0 series lead as they head to Toronto for Game 3 tomorrow. We expected Philly to be good with MVP candidate Joel Embiid and James Harden, but the team is also getting big minutes from Tobias Harris and young guard Tyrese Maxey. The Sixers really have it all going. JJ, are you surprised at how they're dominating the Raptors to this extent?
I am actually surprised a little bit at how much they have dominated this series. The Raptors look completely outmatched. Philly's more physical than them. They've got more size than them. Going into this series, I thought this was going to be one of the most fascinating first-round series. You've got Pascal Siakam, who probably will be on an All-NBA team this year. Fred VanVleet, who's a fringe All-NBA player this year, will get some votes for that third team. Made the All-Star game. You've got Nick Nurse, a championship head coach with a great pedigree, who's great at making adjustments. I didn't see any adjustment between Game 1 and Game 2. The adjustment I saw was we're going to be super physical in the first 10 minutes of the game, and we're going to be more aggressive trying to get to the basket and create pass and kick opportunities. In terms of how they're guarding Philly, though, it's a bunch of guys in gaps against James Harden and a bunch of guys in a dig position against Joel Embiid. Those guys are going to put up numbers, but what that has allowed the Sixers to do is just make target practice passes for target practice shots. The amount of set threes that Philly shooters are getting in this series is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. No one within 5 feet of them. And so that's the adjustment you're going to have to make. You're going to have to pick a poison. You're going to have to be willing to die with that poison. And right now, they're just giving up too much. And you brought up Tyrese Maxey. He has emerged in this season, but specifically in these first 2 games, as a legitimate star. He's a phenomenal basketball player and fun to watch. And he does a little bit of everything. Half court, full court, in transition. Love watching him score the basketball.
I like Maxey a lot. I really, really do. But he's averaging 30 in this series. Let's pump the brakes. This is more about what the Toronto Raptors are not, more so than what the Toronto Raptors are, because I think all of us know that Tyrese Maxey is not going to average 30. Okay? Not when you talk about as we venture deeper into the playoffs against different competition. What we're looking at in the Toronto Raptors squad is a team that's relatively depleted, but more importantly, one that's absolutely petrified by Joel Embiid. They preoccupy themselves with everything he's doing. You got the coach complaining about fouls at every single turn. And as a result, Maxey and Tobias Harris have been able to get off somewhat. And as a result, we haven't required but so much from James Harden, particularly in Game 2. So we shall see. In the end, I am somewhat surprised because I think that when you look at Siakam and VanVleet and others, this is a team that's got some championship pedigree. I certainly expected them to shoot better from three-point range that they have thus far in this year. I think they shot like 12 or 30 in the first game, 11 or 30 in the first game, and like 12 or 32 in the second game. You just look at them right now. They just seem a bit disoriented, a bit overwhelmed. I did not expect that. I expected the Sixers to win this series, but I didn't expect them, the Raptors, to look completely overwhelmed. But that's a testament to the greatness of Joel Embiid, the impact that he has had, and just as equally, to some degree at least, to the point that the Toronto Raptors are just not what they used to be. They're building something. I give Masai Ujiri credit. They're not a part of the championship equation this year. We all know that, but at least they didn't stink like some teams did in L.A. and New York, to be specific, this season. At least they didn't do that to the country of Canada, okay? At least they didn't do that.
I was surprised how dominant they were in Game 1. Game 2, to a lesser degree, I mean, Gary Trent Jr. couldn't play. He didn't feel well. Scotty Barnes, who finalist for Rookie of the Year, unavailable, and they just can't match up with the Sixers flat out. I also think when you look at momentum baskets in that game, even when they cut it to 11, Maxey hits a three, Danny Green is out dunking like we reversed the clock 3 years ago. James Harden is jumping into passing lanes and getting steals in the backcourt. Like, what is happening? And I just think Tyrese Maxey has been so fun and so energizing for the entire Sixers roster on both sides of the basketball. I actually was watching last night like, wow, look at how they're moving defensively, how connected they are, how they were closing gaps compared to what the Raptors left on the table. And so, again, same thing for me in the conversation with the Warriors-Nuggets series. At this point, this has now become a bad matchup, but credit to the Sixers for taking care of business and leaving no doubt, because there was a time in the regular season where this might not have been as convincing a performance, and so they've handled business.
I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring up the fact that things could potentially be a slight bit different in Canada. I mean, after all, Mr. Thibault, who forgot that you're supposed to take 2 shots of the vaccine and ended up only taking 1, is ineligible to play against the Toronto Raptors because those games are in Canada. Who knows whether or not that's going to affect their bench?
It's not.
It's not. He only played 10 minutes last night, I think.
It's not.
I understand that.
To Monica's
road games are different.
To Monica's point, I said Maxey's a star, and what I mean by that, do I mean he's reached the level of a Steph Curry or a Giannis or someone like? No, but there are stars, and there's stars in your role,
Star
and
moment,
what he's doing is starring in that role. He is maximizing that role as that second or third option offensively. Monica brought up that 3 he made. They cut it to 11. Costly turnover. He comes down, stones, pull-up 3 in transition. There's a joy and a confidence.
Yeah.
And I really believe this. Even as a young player, Philly is feeding off of that joy, that energy, that confidence. That
JJ Redick.
has.
JJ Redick, I got very bad news for you before we get to Molly and go to break. Very bad news for you.
Let's hear it.
That
You
little
didn't get a reservation at Catch tonight.
Listen to me. Not yet.
No,
not yet.
no.
Not yet. I'm working on
That's
another
Mondays.
spot.
Tuesdays,
But here's the
something
deal.
different.
Here's the deal, JJ Redick. I got very, very bad news for you. That little soliloquy you just went on to explain everything, they're still going to misquote you. Everywhere you turn. Welcome to the world of First Take.
Stephen A.
They're going to misquote. It's as eloquent as you were in your
I've had a
explanation.
podcast for 6 years. You guys misquote me.
What's
I
your
work for
podcast
ESPN, and ESPN misquotes me.
What's your
Come on, man, I know this.
What's your podcast
I promise you, it is nothing compared to what you in store for. Wait, don't look on social media. I promise you they're going to misquote you. No matter how eloquent you were and how clear you were, watch you get misquoted. Kids coming. Welcome to the world of First Take. Welcome to
the old man
world.
in the 3. Thank you for the free plug. I appreciate that.
Great pod.
Got to toughen up, my brother. You got to learn to deal with it. It's coming. You'll be all right. You'll be okay.
Monica, do you have to leave?
I think I'm out. I got some other shows to do.
You did good, Monica. You
Thank
did good.
you.
You did
Thank
good.
you,
I mean, I don't know about that collar. I mean, it just throws
Listen,
me off.
somebody said I look like Austin Powers, and I started cracking up. But Molly knows I love a pink and red.
Monica,
I just saying, I don't know.
I love that combo together.
Thank you, boo.
They just don't appreciate it. Still to come on First Take. I thought you went to FIT for a year or whatever you bragged earlier. The draft was...
Touchdown, Pittsburgh! Ben hit the chalk. The Pittsburgh Steelers are Super Bowl champions.
To be able to come back on that last drive, probably a drive that will be remembered for a long time, at least in Steeler history.
As we move from one chapter to the next, I hope that I'm able to pass the legacy of what it is to be a Steeler.
It's the end of an era in Pittsburgh as they search for a replacement for Ben Roethlisberger, who retired after 18 seasons in the Steel City. The team did sign former Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year deal, and they have Mason Rudolph on their roster as well. And of course, we need to mention the tragic and untimely death of Dwayne Haskins. Rest in peace and prayers with his family. Coach Mike Tomlin and outgoing GM Kevin Colbert have been seen at several pro days for this year's quarterbacks in the draft, so we know there is interest there. With that being said, we bring in my guy, Dan Orlovsky. Dan, how we doing? Where are you?
What's going on?
Just
What's
me
going
on
on?
camera. There we are. Hey.
What's up, Dan?
Good to see you. I like the sport coat. Dan, tell me this. Do the Steelers need to draft a quarterback in the first round? What's the game plan here for them?
Before I give you my answer, first of all, Stephen A., Lethal Weapon 3 is the worst of the franchise, okay? There's zero unpredictability within that movie. Second of all, I've watched the whole show and kept track. You have said the phrase Stephen A. Smith, or the name, 24 times. You have referenced yourself.
You're lying.
In the 24
You're
times.
lying.
There was a time he said it 7 times. 7 times in a matter of like 15 seconds. So, just so we get that out of the way before I give you.
Hold on, let me chime in for a second here. You just embarrassed yourself.
And
you embarrassed yourself. First of all, the jacket's all right. It ain't no big deal. It's all right. It ain't this. That's number one.
Thank God
number
it's not
two.
that.
Number
should be a
one.
one and done right there, Tim.
Please. The wife would put you in this. You know what I'm
one
saying?
And done. You're like a Kentucky basketball player. One and done.
Whatever. Number two, Dan Orlovsky. Lethal Weapon 3 wasn't about the damn movie franchise with Glover and Mel Gibson. I was talking about Lethal Weapon 3 from the basketball days with Georgia Tech when Kenny Anderson, Brian Oliver, and Dennis Scott were there. So the fact that you brought up the movie reference showed how ill-informed you truly are when it comes to basketball. That's what you just did.
No, I'm
That's
not
what you
ancient.
just did.
I'm still young. I have youth attached to me that I don't know the Georgia Tech players. The only thing I know about Georgia Tech basketball
You don't even know first class. You don't even know first class.
And they
you don't even know first class. You still bringing your wife and coach and putting her in the middle of seats. Has she left you yet? I mean, you cheat with your wife.
You know what happens?
Come on.
You know what happens when you buy good sport coats and not bad ones? You eventually can fly first class. When you get cheap stuff like that, you gotta.
There's levels to this.
There's
levels to this, my brother.
Wait,
all right, let me answer my. Let me.
Wait. No. I just need to know this really quick. He really said it 24 times?
24 times he has said Stephen A. Smith on this show
I would say
today.
Stephen A. Stephen A. I love you. I want you to know that I love you.
I got you. My response to that would be this. That's all? I thought I did it more.
Next time you need to count how many times he said he's in LA, and also how many times he complimented his outfit. Okay, I need more research and stats.
Your laugh, Marcus Spears' laughs, and Kendrick Perkins' laugh are the most villainous, hated laughs in my life. To get that out of the way as well.
Right, that's good.
All right, so
AFC
the Steelers.
South? Oh, no, we're not there yet. Yeah, we're still doing Steelers.
I think the Steelers are in probably one of the worst positions in the NFL. What I mean by that is this. They are an AFC football team that is searching for a quarterback. We'll see what happens with Mitchell Trubisky. I still believe in him, but that conference, as we know, is loaded with superstar quarterbacks. So do they need to draft a quarterback in the first round, if and only if it is Malik Willis? Malik Willis is the only guy in this draft that physically has talent inside of his body that you say, I can't coach that. He makes throws that I just can't coach. He's got the ability to be powerful, both as a thrower and a runner. He's graceful and fluid enough to be in the pocket and making the right decisions. And he just does stuff when it comes to his game that you sit there and say, yeah, that's what it looks like to be a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson when you have to play against guys like that. I think the Steelers are still very much so away from a quarterback away winning that division. A quarterback does not give them the division over Baltimore or Cincinnati or even Cleveland now that they've acquired Deshaun Watson. We'll see how many games he's a part of this year. But Malik Willis is the guy that physically, talent-wise, I sit there and go, it at least upgrades them. They have issues in their secondary. They still have issues at offensive tackle. They got issues on their defensive line. So if Malik Willis goes before the number 20 pick that Pittsburgh holds, I don't think you take a quarterback just because I don't believe any of those guys are that much better or talented than the guy they have right now in Mitchell Trubisky.
Can't believe it. I don't disagree. I completely agree with you. Malik Willis, if it ain't him, I'm not interested in anybody else that I've heard in the draft from the quarterback position.
Not in the first
so I completely and totally agree with you there. I also agree with you that the quarterback situation in the AFC is loaded, but let's not even go that far. We don't even have to be that expensive. Let's stick in the AFC North.
Division, yeah.
We've got Lamar Jackson. We got Joe Burrow. And now Deshaun Watson at some point. And so when you look at it from that perspective, the Steelers are definitely behind the 8 ball in that. The only reason why I haven't been apoplectic and just completely disheartened by Mitchell Trubisky is because I'll give him this much. Couple of things. Number one, he was held back to some degree because when you're being coached by Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace is running the organization, that just wasn't a good situation for him in Chicago. That's number one. But number two, he's mobile. And the reality of the situation is Ben Roethlisberger should have retired a couple of years ago. That's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. He should have retired a couple of years ago. We wish him nothing but the best. I mean, he's going to get a gold jacket. He's a Hall of Famer, two-time Super Bowl champion. I appreciate Ben Roethlisberger. I truly, truly, truly do. But that doesn't mean that, damn it, you didn't stay past your time. He should have left a while ago, okay? And they should have prepared. They should have had, they should have had a plan in place before this damn year. I mean, they've been slow they've been slow. They've been behind the 8 ball big time, which brings me to this other point. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. I forgive me for not knowing this. I just got a brain fog here. The Steelers did not hire a GM to replace Kevin Colbert yet, did they?
They have not announced their hiring, no.
Well, what the hell is going on? All right, because
he's running the draft. He is moving on after the draft.
Let me say this to you. I don't even like that.
Yeah.
I don't like, and I respect him. I respect him because the years of service he's given the Steelers, let's give him his respect too. But there's another dude that should have been gone a couple of years ago, okay? And on top of it all, if you're on your way out the door, why do I need you framing the future?
He took Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth last year for you guys.
Excuse me. What they should have done, they should have hired Louis Riddick, our very own Louis Riddick, months ago. He should be in that draft room with Mike Tomlin. And they should be making the call about the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers instead of the Steelers using somebody that's clearly the past, kind of dictating the future to some degree. My personal preference is that would not have happened. They should have hired Louis Riddick. Louis Riddick should be an executive over football operations in the National Football League, preferably the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you go from there. Because the reality is that Mitchell Trubisky is mobile. You'll be able to do some things with him that you couldn't do with the stationary figure that was Big Ben Roethlisberger. And as a result, there will be some highs and, of course, some lows. Because even though he can run significantly better than Ben Roethlisberger, an argument could be made, ain't no way in hell he could throw as well as Big Ben Roethlisberger. No. And Big Ben Roethlisberger wasn't that elite of a thrower over the last couple of years. So this is not a good situation for the Steelers, but they got Najee Harris, they got Deontay Johnson, they got some weapons, all right? And as a result, I think they'll be respectable. The problem is everybody else in the AFC North is significantly better than that.
Dan, it's great to have you. Great analytics today. Excellent job on everything.
Sure it's just 24? You sure
Yeah,
it's just 24 times I mentioned my
and
name?
you haven't done it once in the last 2 segments. I watched JJ bury you last segment, and then me bury you this segment in a nugget.
I don't get buried. I don't
This
get
better
buried.
be in the best of
I don't get
that little
buried.
segment we do at the end of the week.
I
want
don't
that
get buried.
on 24.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't happen. Not on First Take. Doesn't happen.
Okay. Bye, Dan. We'll talk soon. Thank you. And they wanted all the smoke. Now it looks like the T-Wolves are giving it to them. So Wolves, who stunned the 2 seed behind a great performance by Anthony Edwards. JJ is back with us. But Stephen A., I'm starting with you. Is this a must-win tonight for Memphis?
Yes, I believe it is. Let me say this, and I'm not even going any predictions or anything like that. I picked the Grizzlies to win this in 5. If the Minnesota Timberwolves were to win the night, I'd still pick the Grizzlies to win in 5. And obviously that's impossible because they would have won 2 games in the best-of-7 series. My point was not to make the point about 5 games. It's to make the points. You better win. All that smack you've been talking all season long is the Memphis Grizzlies. We want all the smoke. We walking up the chimney. And you going to get bounced by Anthony Edwards in his first playoff series and Karl Anthony Towns and those boys? You better handle your business. You the Memphis Grizzlies, we've been hearing all this smoke. We flew down to Memphis. I'm walking, driving by and seeing Elvis on billboards. I'm sitting there making the case they should be Ja Morant billboards. And y'all gonna get bounced out in the first round? You better not. You better not. Handle your damn business. Period. Ja Morant, Bane, and the whole crew. Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams, all of them. Handle your business. We've been talking Memphis all year long. You want the smoke? You got it. Minnesota bringing it. What y'all gonna do? Handle your damn business. You better win this series. You better win this series. That's my only point. Floor's yours, Jay.
I also believe that this is a must-win game for the Grizzlies. And here's what's different about this series than the Boston-Brooklyn series. Memphis is at home. To get down 2-0, losing 2 games at home, that creates a unique set of challenges trying to come back in the series. The other part is They have not been out of, this group has not been out of the first round. Why can I say the Nets can come back from 2-0? Because Kevin Durant is a champion. Kyrie Irving is a champion. This is a different series. It's also a very difficult matchup. That word has come up a bunch today. It is a difficult matchup for the Grizzlies, and one of those reasons is Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns plays in space. He's a pick and pop big at times. He can punish smaller matchups in the post. In game one, Steven Adams had trouble guarding him in space, recovering to him for a three, getting driven by for layups and dunks. I think the adjustment tonight for the Grizzlies is to play smaller for most of the game. I'd play Kyle Anderson more. I'd play Brandon Clark more. Use the blueprint that the Clippers gave you from the play-in game in matching up with Karl Anthony Towns.
Right. We are up against it. JJ Redick, this was a lot of fun today, and you're going to be back tomorrow.
I'll be back tomorrow. Stephen A., looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
Can't wait to
That's
hear
right.
about your dinner reservation tonight.
Yeah,
Same
me
here.
too.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So to come on First Take, Colin Kaepernick